Hello, my name is Enaam and I work at the Institute for Experimental Cardiovascular Medicine in Freiburg under the supervision of Professor Peter Cole and Dr. Callan Zagierski-Johnston. Today I will talk to you about a novel arrhythmia mechanism in reperfusion injury. Now, when an individual has a heart attack or a block through a coronary artery supplying a region of the heart, we intervene by going in with a catheter to open up this coronary artery and reperfuse this ischemic zone. Now, reperfusion after an ischemic period, while it's essential to sustain the tissue, it also paradoxically gives rise to arrhythmias. And so the whole aim of this project was to explore the electrophysiological behavior after reperfusion injury. To do this, we have two approaches. One, we have a transient or local perfusion model, and secondly, we have a sustained global perfusion model. I will start here first. So, what we do is we Langendorf perfuse rabbit hearts. We load these hearts with a fluorescent membrane voltage reporter. We have an aortic cannula to globally perfuse the heart, and we have a local cannula through the anterior branch of the left circumflex coronary artery to locally perfuse the heart. At the beginning of our experiments, we're perfusing with normal thyroid solution, and then later in our experiments, we start to perfuse through the local cannula solutions that mimic various aspects of ischemia. And I focus on hyperkalemia, so loading or perfusing the local cannula with high potassium solution. What do we see? So at the beginning, we see normal conduction through the heart, and when we start to perfuse through the local cannula a high potassium solution, what we see is we have a reduction in excitation of this region here until we get a total block. Then, upon reperfusion with normal thyroid solution, what we see, it's very exciting. We get a preferential return of excitability along the main branch of the coronary artery that we're reperfusing, which is perivascular excitation tunneling. And under certain circumstances, we get reentrant arrhythmias from this excitable channel. And so next, we wanted to see if the presence of oxygen has a role in this heterogeneity that we see in these local perfused models. So in a separate set of experiments, we have rabbit hearts subjected to global no-flow ischemia and an oxygen-bubbled solution to generate transmural oxygen gradients. And so we do dual wavelength optical mapping using blue and red light. And by using these different light sources, we're able to look at different penetration depths. So with the blue light, we're able to look at shallow layers, and with red light, we're able to look deeper. And what we see is we measure action potentials, and after 15 minutes of no-flow ischemia, we see action potential duration shortening, and more strikingly in the deeper layers in comparison to the superficial layers. And also, after burst pacing, this resulted in tachyarrhythmias as well as reentrant activities in the deeper layers and not the superficial layers. And so this was done, like I said, in an oxygen-bubbled bath, but then when we switch into a nitrogen-bubbled bath, so we don't have this transmural oxygen gradient, what we see is that the arrhythmias that were present are now absent. And so my two take-home messages to you are, one, that in Langendorf perfused hearts, they are very much affected by the absence or presence of oxygen, and secondly, that there's this really exciting perivascular excitation tunneling that occurs along the main trunk of the coronary artery that's reperfused that can be giving rise to arrhythmias. Thank you very much.